Let's recap, revisit, reapply some of Sephora's newest products because this is my warm-up. I am currently in training for the Sephora savings event coming at the end of this week. Yes, it's going to be 2 straight weeks worth of Sephora videos. Ignore that if you don't like the Sephora videos or don't have a Sephora near you. The point is the brands I cover are the brands sold at Sephora. So just lots of recommendations. 'Tis the season. I'm really excited. The Sephora sale season is always just so fun for me because it's a great time to round up a big influx of products because it's so intentional this time of year. The holiday sets and whatnot and holiday launches being out. So it's such a fun time to round things out. But of course, there is this major influx of new products and it's just the best time of year for the launches. So for today, I'm getting ready actually to film a different video. And I thought I'd film because I am prepping, preparing, and testing for these Sephora recommendations, which I've already gotten started on my list and stuff, but I want to get into it. One thing that I really wanted to test a lot more today is the Gilded Nirvana palette from Pat McGrath. I used a couple of touches of color for my Pat McGrath Victoria's Secret video, but I want to try it on a little bit of a bigger scale today. So we're gonna get going with that. Get up nice, close, and personal. Let's start off with a primer. Today I am using the Fenty Beauty Grip Trip Hydrating and Plumping Primer. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this. Fenty has been launching a lot of products at once, so I'm trying to slow it down and try them out one by one. I think the packaging of this is so cool. They also have a mattifying and blurring one, which I have not tried out yet, just because it's not for my skin type, though, you guys. Matte skin is so in. So many mattifying setting sprays, primers, foundations are launching. And it's a double-edged sword for me in the winter because, I mean, you can get the most glam, long-lasting matte looks in the winter. And it's just fun for full glam, but also my skin is parched. So sometimes it's a little too matte for me in the winter. And sometimes I prefer a little bit more matte, more in the summer, maybe fall, springtime. But I'm embracing it. Though today we're doing a skin tint, something more luminous. Anyways, I think this is a beautiful primer. I think it's setting my skin just right. I've enjoyed the few times that I've used it already. It's not the most wet, slick, or hydrating, which I think makes it perfect before makeup, even though sometimes I need that. My skin is in need of that extra hydration. Not all of the time. Sometimes my skin is in good condition from my skincare routine. Sometimes I do my skincare routine just before applying the makeup and I don't need that extra kick of hydration. So this isn't the heaviest or thickest, most moisturizing base, but it does give that extra kick before the makeup so that it settles down. Like, my skin does feel nice and soft and it soaks in quickly, so you don't have to wait for it. So this is a nice primer. I wouldn't say it's like a standout primer, but I'm enjoying my time using it. Hasn't broken me out. That's always important. I've really been loving this. I've been meaning to update you guys on the Armani skin tint. I think that this is gorge. I went on a little trip a few weekends ago, so I used this for that whole trip. And it is gorgeous. Now, in my original review, I wasn't too sure of it. It's quite liquidy, as you can see. I'm going to use the soft end of this Summer Fridays brush just to buff it in. I wasn't too sure about it because I did feel like sometimes with these more watery foundations, it can travel into the fine lines and dry patches of the skin, and I felt like it was doing that. So it was emphasizing some dryness that I didn't love, and it still does that upon initial application, but I just find that as the day goes on, that kind of goes away, and you just kind of have to deal with it for that fresh application. But once it settles into the skin, it's so beautifully lightweight, feels like nothing on the skin. I do have a more full coverage concealer, by the way, that I'm going to use later on to give us more coverage when it is necessary. But I'm just getting an overall pretty more even complexion. And even though it is It is glam season right now. I just love how my skin is able to breathe in this. I've really been enjoying this for an everyday product for a day that I don't want to feel heavy makeup on my skin. It feels like nothing, like air, pretty much. So here's what I'm talking about. It is not the perfect product because I do feel like I can see it going into some dry patches and fine lines with that initial application. But once I put the concealer, all of the other bits and bobs of my makeup, that disappears. But every time I use this, when I apply it, I'm like, so it's not perfect. However, it just feels so lightweight and my skin just looks so fresh. Whenever I use this throughout the day, I end up loving it. So it's not great on first impressions, initial application, but it's so comfortable and my skin looks so fresh, light, and natural with this. So I've been loving it. Because I don't know what direction we're gonna go with eyes, we're gonna hop in early to the new Pat McGrath palette, but I'm gonna do one eye first to get a better feel of this. Okay, I can tell when we finish it today, this look is going to be like sick. So good. But like I said, we're using the Gilded Nirvana Mega Eyeshadow Palette. This is the holiday palette from Pat McGrath this year. It is so tiny, you guys. The holiday palettes in the previous years are so much bigger. This is a complete different direction. It is still that same formula that she has been doing for the holiday mini 5-pan palettes and also the big one last year. But it's not the big mothership formula. And I've had mixed feelings of this formula over the years because it's beautiful. It looks beautiful. I mean, look at it in these pans. However, these fade so quickly and they require so much warming into the skin and they have fallout. It's not like the best formula, but it's gorgeous, so I kind of put up with it. And that's how I'm feeling so far. I still have a few shades I need to use, but from what I've played with, it's the same thing as like it might fade. I have a lot of fallout. It's not the easiest to work out. You have to be patient, but it's gorgeous. This is the kind of formula where you need to be a little bit more comfortable with like 1 and done, 2 and done looks and just use your finger and warm it into your eye and you will love the way that these look kind of all over the lid. But in terms of getting really intricate looks, this is a bit difficult. We're going to use the Soul Matte shade. I guess this is also kind of a matte shade, but I'm going to use this all over the crease, which I'm not bothered by this being kind of the only matte shade because this formula is pretty as just a 1 and done all over the lid kind of palette, and it's nice to have those options. I can dig into other palettes. I don't think the intention was to get full-blown looks and needing mattes, so surprisingly not bothered by that. But of course we do have that peach shade that she always has, and this just isn't going to be a good mid-tone transition color for everybody. I wish this was more brown. If we're talking as the Soul base shade, I would want it to be more of a contour shade. And then I'm taking a pencil brush and I'm taking this black shade, which does have glitters in it. And this is where it gets messy, a little bit difficult, because you can see how that sits on the eyelid. Do you see how it just doesn't adhere to the eyelid? It kind of sits on top, so you have to mush it in. I don't like that. I don't find that easy to work with. So I'm just creating a little bit of shape, mushing it into my eyelid, and there's a reason I didn't do concealer yet because I know I'm going to make a mess with this. So warming it into the eyelid, and then I'm just taking a blending brush, and it can be a little bit messy, and I'm just creating this little smoky base here, and then also blending that out. Again, it can be messy. The point with these looks, I think that it's going to be a little messy and we're getting fallout. Okay, and then I had to use this shade. It's like purple, but it's blue. Again, I'm using just my finger to apply. And this one adheres to the lid pretty nicely. I don't have the same issues that I had with these shades. They felt really creamy when you put your finger in, but then they sat on top of the skin and needed to be pushed into the skin and made a little bit of a mess, which I don't love. I just don't think I'm a huge fan of this formula, and I want to be so bad because it's so pretty, especially in these kind of iridescent, colorful shades. It's gorgeous, but it's just not easy to use. And if this is like last year's, it will probably fade quickly throughout the day. Using this mid-tone purple shade, and the shade layers beautifully over the black base, but again, having to work and push this into the eyelid because it's a little scattered and not adhering to the eyelid, which a wet brush, glitter glue can help solve that. Don't get me wrong. It's just a good shadow shouldn't need that, you know? Okay, I'm taking my original crease brush. We're gonna soften the edges. But as suspected, it's gorgeous, but as you can see, as I blended, we lost all that purple, and now it looks mushy. I don't love this formula. I think this palette is beautiful, but and I'm gonna take a little bit more of the black, and I'm gonna put some of that here in the outer corner, give us a little bit of a smoky vibe, and blend that. Get that to look more evened out because I have this weird thingy going on here. Don't worry, we'll clean up, but I am going to do my eyeliner now. I'm using one of the newer Makeup by Mario Master Pigment Pro Pencil shades. These are a really good quality eyeliner, and I think using a navy like this would be so cool. This is the shade Midnight Blue. Black would also work in this situation, but blue I think is gonna be so cool, and you guys know I hate blue on myself, but man, Pat McGrath can make me do it. But you can see it's just not as blended looking as I would like, because what I need to do is go into other palettes and create my base shades with the mattes, but I wanted to test it with just this palette today. And this is just like an eyelid palette. Not as great for full looks for me. I'm also gonna tightline. This navy is so cool. Okay, and now we're gonna make it look less messy because I did get a lot of fallout. I did go out of the lines. We're just gonna clean this up. I want this to have a little bit of a sharper edge. And then I'm actually, let me do a little bit of a wing, why not? Okay, we'll be back. It will come together. But let's finish the rest of the makeup now that I don't have to worry so much about fallout. I'm currently testing, this one is a pretty new product to me. We're moving on to concealer. The Makeup Forever HD Skin Full Cover Concealer. So this is their newest concealer. I did just test this in a recent video. It does come with a brush applicator, which I just don't like as much as my normal applicator. So I'm going to use 1 and 1/4 on the outskirts of my face, as well as where I want a little bit more coverage, which is pretty much everywhere. And then I'm going to use the shade 1 and 1/0 more on the inner portion of the eye. And we'll start off with this. And this is how we're going to get the majority of our coverage. So I do like the BK Beauty A506 for concealer. So I'm just going to start off with my inner corner light shade. I should have used the Mary Phillips palette to color correct first. I'll put it on top, that's fine. It's not too pink, it will be fine. So this actually gives pretty full coverage. It's not full coverage, but it gives good coverage for sure. Not the fullest coverage concealer I've ever used, but as you can see, it's getting us right with this light base that I have on. I'm able to blend it out and down and cover the redness on my face. Then we'll start working in the rest of the concealer that I applied. Okay, so I did use that concealer to supplement the little bit more coverage that I desired. My skin is looking a little bit dry. I think between the SPF and this concealer does have a more matte finish, so it's actually not looking that great. I was hoping to love this concealer. I liked it the first time that I used it, but the way that I used it today in broader areas of the face, it's drying me out a bit. So good to know that. We were still in the testing phases of that, so that's why we're doing that. Let's move on to some contour and bronzer. Mary Phillips, This is the underpainting palette. However, I'm going to go over just to see how this works, how I normally tend to do this, because I'm not a big underpainter for myself. So this is the light palette, and I'm going to start off with this shade because it's a little bit more cool toned. And I'm going to contour my lips. So I'll use her lip liner maybe today. I don't know, I might use the Westman Atelier too, but I'm just going to create a shadow. And I did really like this palette. Like, for what it is, it did exactly as advertised. The quality was just fine. It's just underpainting itself is not my jam. So that's why I'm like, we'll just try it how I normally would do it. Because I feel like it gets so lost, all of that hard work you put into it, once you put the foundation over top, unless you specifically use something really sheer. But sometimes I don't want to do that, especially on the nose too. I notice it's very easy to lose the work you put in. We'll use this shade just to correct and highlight where I want. Use this shade to contour. I think it works beautifully over foundation if you're not an underpainter. And it's great because you have this selection of colors. I'm going to put a little bit of this peach corrector over top of my concealer. Normally I do it under, but that's okay. Just because we're wearing blue and purple, this will help brighten it up a little bit more. And I'm curious to see if this affects the concealer. I don't really think so. Not too bad, at least. Then I'm going to use this shade, which is a little bit more bronzy. You know, I do like this palette. If you just go in and kind of paint the face how you want to sculpt and whatnot. And then just to clean up under here a bit, just gonna take some of this. Just a little bit to sharpen that, but nothing crazy. Yeah, I mean, even over top of my foundation, I'm enjoying using this, but I do really like the way that this glides across bare skin. I will say, it glides across bare skin gorgeous, which is what the formula was intended for, but it also is working great in this aspect. And then for blush, I'm going to give the Dior Forever Blush Soft Filter another go. This is the shade Peony. I just felt like I needed to give this another use, and I feel like it goes good with the look. I had also pulled another similar product, but much more affordable compared to Dior, at least. The Too Faced Cloud Crush works similarly to this, but I love this Peony shade, and it really does airbrush the skin. Oh my gosh. Matte is so in, you guys. This is beautiful. The way it pushes into the skin and blurs. Kind of crazy, actually. I mean, Dior does a phenomenal job with their products for the most part. That just blurred the skin. Gorgeous. I'm using a 116 to blend this out. How stunning is that? I'll put a little bit right here too, just a touch. I think a little goes a long way, and then you can always build up a little bit if you want. Ooh, I love this blush. I don't think the first few times I used it, I took the time to notice how beautiful this is. It totally is. I am noticing right here, I am looking dry, which I'm not loving. So before I set and do whatever, I'm just going to take a little bit of All Nighter Glow Finish from Urban Decay just to add a shot of hydration before anything. And hopefully as this dries down, this just kind of helps because I am going to use powder and I don't want to set powder over top of dryness. That helped a lot. I'm going to use the lightest amount of setting powder just for the under eye area. I'm going to use a matte setting spray for the rest of my face today. So I'm using the Fenty Beauty Set It Down powder. This another new quiet launch from Fenty. And like I said, this is just for the under eyes. I'm just going to lightly... Very, very fine, very lightweight. It's a fine powder. Like, good. It's a decent powder. Is it replacing my favorites? No, but they're on board with having a super light, fine powder in their collection now. This is much better, if you ask me, than their other loose setting powder, which was a lot more thick. This is much more finely milled. Okay, beautiful. Let's finish with the eyes real quick. I don't think I'm gonna do anything crazy. I actually want more of the purple to show through. So I'm gonna start off with the mid-tone purple that we used with a pencil brush. And for this, I'm not playing around with my lower lash. We're gonna wet my brush. It must be wet. Now that the makeup is all set in, tap off your brush. This formula is difficult to draw on the lower lash line because it's so piecey. So we need that binder. I also just put this liner in my waterline. And then I'm gonna take this gorgeous shade and do the same thing, but just keeping this on the innards right here. Yeah, for the best experience with this, even on the upper part of the eyes, wet your brush. This is gonna need that. Let's add some glow to this face. This look is gonna need it. I'm gonna dig into the NARS New Realm Ethereal Aura Blush Palette. This palette is stunning, you guys. I've really thoroughly enjoyed my time with this palette, and I highly recommend it for the sale. I'm just gonna put just a little bit of that glowy blush towards the back to give that matte blush a little bit of something. But really my main focus, I think it would be pretty to have a pink glow, and this is so creamy and beautiful. Yeah, I mean, this isn't really a highlighter. We're gonna deal with that in a second. But I wanted to utilize this shade, kind of blend it into my blush. This palette is so underrated. I think it's one of the better holiday launches. How fun. See, it just made the look so much more fun. And then, as you know, Dior reformulated their highlight quads. I'm just gonna dig into these two shades to keep the glow lighter up here. So I'm gonna start off with this one. So you can see this one is a little bit more gleaming than the NARS. I'm creating a gradient effect. I thought we could have a little bit more fun than the lightest one, the highest point, with our eyes. So, and then I'm wiping my brush off and I'm literally just melting these together. Oh, maybe I don't like that Makeup Forever concealer because my under eyes look terrible today. I'm gonna take this lightest shade and brighten up my eyes as well. That inner corner glow. Can you guys see? This concealer is really not doing me any favors today right here on this portion of my face. I'll make it work. But yeah, and then to finish off, I don't want to do any more powder. I'm actually going to use the new Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Liquid Blurring Balm. If you have dry skin and you don't want to use powder on your face, this will help set your face without actually using real powder. I always recommend it on the under eyes. I've been asked about the comparisons between the Charlotte Tilbury and the Danessa. I'm more familiar with the Danessa, but I feel like the few times that I've used the Charlotte Tilbury since that last video, it is more mattifying than the Danessa. This mattifies my face more. And right now, since we're already matte on the under eyes and dry looking, I'm just gonna use this. This is a little, excuse me, this is less heavy and drying for dry skin. But if you have oily skin and you really wanna suck the life out of your skin for longevity, definitely go for the Charlotte Tilbury. But I do think the Danessa is more dry skin friendly. It's a little bit lighter on the skin, but it has this magical formula that sets the makeup without feeling too heavy. So I'm just saying, this is the future of setting your face. You don't need to use heavy powders. You can use something like this. It really does make a difference. And I'm going to pop on falsies, so it's not going to be that dramatic here. But one of the newer mascaras at Sephora is from Milk Makeup. It's this green packaged Kush mascara, which is pretty good. I don't love it. It's not a game-changing mascara for me, but it also isn't a bad one because it doesn't get flaky, you know. You're not really going to be able to see the impact with my look. But this is one of the new mascaras at Sephora, in case you missed it. Milk has it. Now, when I come on to frame next, my lashes are going to be Lush. It won't be from this mascara. It will be from falsies because this look requires some falsie action. I mean, this is the exact look that I would have expected to get from this Pat McGrath palette. it is gorgeous. Let's finish off with lips. Now, the newest, hottest lip liner, of course, is the Mary Phillips lip liner, but what's more so new to me and just better colors for today's look, I've been testing the Westman Atelier Lip Shape lip liner, so I'm going to use these today. I'm going to use the shade Biscuit. See, it's just a nice brown. Love that color. And then for lips, for some glow, I have the two newest colors that Glow Recipe launched in their Glass Balm formulation. I figured we would try both. So the first one is Dragon Fruit Bingsu. I like these. I think they're very nice quality. This is a little bolder, a little brighter. I like that these have some pigment to them. And they're really hydrating and glassy. Ooh, I really like this dragon fruit with this look today, but coconut bingsu might also be really cool. Let's see. Here's coconut, a little deeper. See, I just love how these colors actually matter. I mean, that's also gorgeous. Both of these work good, but they're nice, they're hydrating. They're very, very glossy, glowy. I really like this coconut shade too. Like, this coconut shade is a great everyday shade. Minus, you know, my eyes. I don't need to wear it with this eye color, but ooh, I really like that, especially with today's look. This is the look that we got using some of the newest Sephora makeup. Like I said, this is me warming up, testing all of that for the upcoming Sephora sale of all the Sephora products that I've been testing, with the main focus today being on the new Pat McGrath palette that you guys wanted more of my insight on. It's so pretty, but it's not the best quality. You have to want to use these colors specifically. Like, if you love the look of the colors and you're okay and willing to work with them and their formulas, I do think you'll enjoy it because it's gorgeous. My eyes look galactic and stunning. I'm gonna keep an eye out today to see how the wear time is on this, see if it fades, because if it fades, there's no point. But I'm not like super obsessed. I think it's gorgeous and you can get gorgeous looks with it. But as a quality person, it's not the formula for me. But as always, I will have all of the products that I used linked down below for you guys, as well as tagged. If you see anything that you want to build your basket for, add it to your basket now. Some of this stuff, with it being the newest, hottest products, are probably going to sell out pretty quickly. Most not, but you know, just be mindful. Thank you so much for getting ready with me today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys, have a good one.
It's delicious.